All right. So Obsession. I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's way beyond that. I think it's way beyond its genre because when you call Obsession a horror movie, you actually are kind of limiting the achievements that the movie has got. It's not a movie that you just watch and maybe think about for 2 days and then you forget. It's a movie that actually forces you to have these sort of discussions, and it's a movie that actually forces you to not only talk about the technical aspects or just the acting or just the writing of the movie. It actually forces you to talk about the nuances, the small details, the metaphors that it throws on your face, and you literally are kind of analyzing characters. That is not what a typical movie does to you. So although I think I can go on for an hour and talk about 100 different things about the movie, but I just want to give a slight evaluation of a debate that is going on. So there's this whole debate going on where people are calling Bear a predator, a monster, and I disagree to that. See, I'm not here to defend Bear and what he did in the movie, and I understand where this terminology is coming from, and it's clearly coming out of audience's frustration because whatever happens to Nikki in the movie, the kind of torture she has to go through and the kind of conditions she's left with at the end, I get it. And I think it's the frustration of the audience that is actually leading to calling Bear as a predator. But I feel when you call someone a predator, he or she has to be in control of their mind. And a person has to have some amount of wisdom, or should I say, some evil wisdom, to be called as a monster. And I feel the character of Bear never actually deserved this tag. I think it's too overwhelming for Bear to be called as a monster because, first of all, he was never in control with his mind. He, I don't think, had any sort of wisdom or any sort of matureness or intellectuality in terms of relationships or choosing the right partner. I don't think he had that. The first scene of the movie actually proves it, where he is trying to rehearse with his friends and he's trying to rehearse the lines that he is supposed to say to Nikki. But when the time actually comes, when the situation actually comes, when he is in front of Nikki, when he goes to drop her off to her address, and at that time he is supposed to say those lines, but he's never able to say it. Even when Nikki asks that, if you like me, now is the time, but he still isn't able to say it. That shows that, first of all, he's very, very insecure, he's coward, and he's not in control. Secondly, I feel that Bear actually never understood true love. He was just a lonely young boy. And again, that is proved if you watch the movie, and there is a line where he says that Nikki was the only person who treated me well. This shows that he was very, very lonely, and he just knew that if I want to cure my loneliness, then Nikki is the answer. But did he actually love Nikki? I don't think so. He just loved the idea of a girl who is like Nikki. That's it. He never actually understood that with true love comes sacrifice. When you love someone, you actually need to put that person ahead of you and not your selfishness. But I don't think Bear was mature enough or intellectual enough to understand that part, and that is why I feel that to call him a predator is something that he does not deserve. I think whatever he does in the movie, it just happened because he was a foolish guy. He was dumb, and he did not know what was happening around him. He was not in control. He never realized the fact, like, you know when Nikki behaves this weird, he is actually trying to justify those things by saying that, oh, because Nikki took drugs, that's why she is behaving weird. Oh, because maybe Nikki's father is going through cancer, that's why she is behaving weird, and it's not because of my foolish wish. So he's trying to justify those things. So you see how he is kind of not wanting to realize that it's because of his foolish wish that Nikki is behaving weird. Like, even when he talks to that customer care person, he tries to alter the wish rather than canceling it. Even when you know the scene where Nikki is asleep and she's sleep talking, and at that time when Nikki says that, just kill me, just free me, why don't you kill me? And at that time, what does Bear reply? he says something like, "Oh, am I too bad to be with?" Something like that. So, what does that say about Bear's character? He's still in that guilt that, oh, am I too bad? And he's not understanding the true meaning of what Nikki is trying to convey there. So you see, he's a dumb man. He never was able to realize. I mean, if he was mature enough, I think he would have chosen Sarah over Nikki in the first place. So I think that's my interpretation, and that's how I feel that calling Bear a predator is too overwhelming for his character, because I feel he was more of a coward and more of a less intellectual and more of a immature boy. Because even at the end, coward, because at the end, when spoiler alert, when he tries to kill himself by putting the gun in the mouth, the next moment he takes it out. Then again, when he tries to eat those pills, the next moment immediately he tries to throw up. So that just shows that he was just coward, and he he was a immature guy. That's what my evaluation of the character is. Also, I think everyone will have a different takeaway from the movie, and even I have one. I think in the movie, the magic stick that's shown, I think they've created their own fantasy world. So I think maybe that magic stick exist or is a real thing in their world, because if you have a customer care number, then I think it's real. I think it's business. It's not a fantasy thing. So in their world of fantasy, it's a real thing, but in real life there's no actual magic stick. So the point here is that if you are lonely, if you are in a situation, if you are going through a problem, you are the one who's going to solve it. If you decide that, okay, I have this problem and I need to solve it, only then the problem solves. There is no one who's going to come and try to solve your problem. There's no actual magic stick. With regards to loneliness, I think I've made a video before this that if you are lonely, even if you have friends, even if you are socializing, even if you are surrounded by thousands of people, and from inside you're still lonely, doesn't matter how many friends you have, you're still going to be lonely at the end of the day. So your inner loneliness, your inner self-worth can only be conquered when you decide to conquer it. And I think that is with every other problem in your life. And also this scene, very interesting. While I was watching the movie, it did not make much sense to me that when Ian breaks the stick and says that, I wish I get $1 billion, and money starts to just pour from the roof. And I was like, I mean, does this even make sense? But when I came home and when I was thinking about it, I was like, no, it made complete sense, because what the movie there, like what I get from that scene is that, again, there's no magic stick, because even when Ian gets those $1 billion, immediately in the next scene he's shot dead. So even after getting those $1 billion, it's of no use, because now you're dead. So it can have 2-3 meanings. Firstly, you can't just wish for $1 billion and get it. Another meaning could be that when you wish for something that you didn't deserve, you end up in the wrong place. And that's exactly what happens with Bear and Ian. Bear actually asked for something that maybe he did not deserve, or maybe it was not the right thing for him, and that's why he ended up being dead, and that's why he ended up in the worst case scenario. Same with Ian. Maybe he did not deserve those $1 billion, or maybe, who knows, he did, but did he work for it? No, he just wished for it. He got it, but he was dead, so it's of no use. And again, the magic stick thing, this goes to the director of the movie as well, Curry. I mean, I did not know him before watching the movie. For me, he was a complete stranger. But now, after the movie, I've started to learn things about him. And if you are thinking, or if anyone's thinking that this movie was a one night wonder, or he just came out of somewhere and just made a movie and just got famous, no, he actually has put in work. He has sharpened his sword so much that when he actually got an opportunity, from Curry's journey, what I get is that you do not have to wait for the right stage. You just need to keep putting out work. You just need to keep working and just put your work out there. Some right person will maybe show off one day, say that, hey, that was impressive, here's the big stage, and now just show who you are, what's your actual potential. And that's what exactly happened to Curry. He was making these short films, putting out on YouTube. Maybe some big producer saw it and like he was like, this is impressive. Come, let's make a feature film. Let me know your interpretations, your thoughts, and your theories. I would love to hear them. And if you have not yet watched the movie, take care. I'll see you soon.